What's going on? It's your boy Sermon at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. We are in week 2 of Atlanta's Robin season. Season 2 has been off to a great start. Alligator Man was tremendous. And now they continue that streak, which technically hasn't been broken since they started the series. We continue it today with an episode titled Sportin' Waves. One thing that I'm starting to realize about Atlanta is it has a format. It's kind of loose, but the format is essentially there's a couple small scenes that happen in the show, and oftentimes they connect to the bigger ones. There's always those two big stories, the A story, the B story, but sometimes the line is blurred to where it's they're both on the same level. They're both A stories. In this episode, you have Paperboy and Earn going to labels, or just one label, and it is a disaster. I'm talking straight up cringeworthy. Here's the thing about Paperboy. I feel like he's not too invested in his music career. It's every time you see him do something that pertains to not actually making music, he's just over it. Case in point, he's at this label, and they want to hear his music. They want to see what he's all about, and he's just the way he carries himself and the way he talks to people. It's he doesn't want to do any of it. Now I don't know how that's going to affect him long term, but I think in Atlanta's history, or in Atlanta's future, I should say, we're probably not going to see Paperboy become this huge rapper. But it's crazy because every time that he's on screen and going out in public, people are recognizing him. People are saying, yo, I'm a fan of your work. So I like that because it shows that there's more to Atlanta than what's on the screen. Because the last time the Paperboy really did anything musically was back in season 1. It's been a while since he had that, the Paperboy song kind of blow up. But off screen, you kind of tell that he's getting bigger. His buzz is growing. And he doesn't really know how to handle that. I don't blame him for some of his actions at the label, because they wanted him to perform at the label. I think the way that they had Paperboy trying to perform was a little bit less offensive than the way that another rapper, Clark County, was doing. We see Clark, we're introduced to this guy, and he is on the table, just acting a fool. If you guys have seen the infamous Bobby Smurda Epic Records meeting, there's a video where he's on the table performing for a room full of white folks, and it is just awful to see. And so Atlanta pretty much duplicates that. For Paperboy, when he gets up to the mic, it's more a performance type of thing. It's kind of they have a little stage area, but it's still awkward. You got a bunch of people just sitting down watching you perform. So he gives it up almost immediately. He's done. There's also a part where he's in a studio recording drops for radio, and he has this very monotone style. They do several takes, and every take is he just doesn't care. So I think that is going to affect him in the long run, I would think. I feel there has to be some kind of consequence there, and maybe that might cause a rift between Earn and Paperboy. I don't know, but I feel there's that rift is coming this season. Because it's kind of been hinted out with episode 1, the conversation that Earn's uncle had with Earn about, other family members not talking to each other anymore. So I feel there might be foreshadowing right there. Now, before we talk about the other big story in episode 2, I have to go back to the intro, to the very first scene where Paperboy is trying to get some, weed and drugs and pills from his plug. And his plug just straight up robs him. And the funny thing is Paperboy's furious, but the plug is just sitting there man, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna pay you back and everything. He makes it seem it's not Paperboy's fault. Like, he's so like sympathetic about it. It's just hilarious. The absolute best part of this episode is that Earn got his puppy money. Back in season 1, Earn and Darius went on a little journey. They ended up giving some dogs, or a dog, to be bred. And at the time, Earn was really upset. It was like, I need this money now. But Darius said, this is an investment. And so I like that they actually followed through. That was one of the things that I was worried about. Like, it might get buried, it would never come up. And then out of the blue, they're all in the house. And Darius says, here. And he gets $4,000. So Earn got his puppy money. I'm so happy for that scene. Almost immediately, Earn makes a stupid decision. He's greedy. This is the reason why Earn is always going to be broke, is because he's greedy. And he just, I don't know. I mean, there's some instances where he's not greedy. Like when he gave Vanessa all that money in season 1 in the last episode, and only kept $200 for himself, presumably to pay for his storage unit. But you got $4,000. And you let Tracy, who is Paperboy's friend who just got out of prison, you let Tracy talk you into like a credit card scam, where ultimately Earn doesn't walk away with more than $4,000. He walks away with several bags of like clothes and other assorted goods from the mall, and he's not getting that money back. I don't know what the implications of that relationship are going to have now. I would feel like Earn is going to feel some type of way. But I mean, Paperboy and Darius made it very clear that he's probably not going to see that money anymore. So it was a very stupid decision on Earn's behalf. Like I said, he's always going to be broke. He's always going to be trying to chase money unless he gets rid of his greedy tendencies. I feel like this was also a really good episode for Tracy. He's a new character this season, and it seems like he's going to be sticking around for a while. So it was good to see some character development from him. We get to see more of like what makes him tick, and just different things about him. Like, we learned that he just does not give a damn. I mean, you kind of can infer that, but to actually see them, Tracy and Earn, in the shoe store, and then Tracy's sitting there in front of an employee, I might add, talking about how they have a no chase policy and how he's going to steal these shoes, and the employee's just sitting there like, can I help you with, can I get these in another size for you? And he's just like, yeah, they have to be nice, they have to keep doing good customer service. He just walks out with the shoes. Like, that right there is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but it's also like a real moment, I feel. It feels like it adds to his character. And then the final part of this episode was him having a job interview. And it seems like he nailed it. Earn gave him some good advice. He said, talk confident. Don't call them white people. Real good advice. So we see him at the end. You're thinking, okay, Tracy's going to come up. He's going to get this job. But then the older white man who was doing the interview said there's no positions for him at this time. And the way that it came off was weird. It definitely came off like a slightly racist move, because like, what do you mean you don't have any positions open right now? Why was he there doing a job interview in the first place? I don't think that's very professional to say in a job interview. You don't say something like that. So I get it. And then Tracy went back to his old self. He didn't need to continue to act all nice and, try to impress anymore. He was just like, you know what? Forget this. Hits like his pens and papers all on the ground. And you hear him just cussing up a storm as he's leaving. He's furious. So overall, I felt like he really had great development. The other part of this episode, or should I say the third part, maybe this episode, the structure is varying from like what I'm actually thinking in my mind. But the other part of this episode was Paperboy and Darius on their own little adventure trying to find a new plug for weed and other drugs, I would imagine. Obviously, this is a bad idea. Paperboy's notoriety continues to rise. He's continuing to get bigger as a rapper. It's to the point I'm wondering like why Earn hasn't sat him down and said, look, you gotta stop dealing. You gotta stop risking your future. We gotta go all in on this music tip. I think that could be yet another way that there's like a rift between the two. I'm gonna be mad if there's no rift like between them this season. Because I feel like I'm gonna say all this stuff and nothing's gonna happen. They're gonna trick me and I'm just gonna be like, damn, they really didn't have a rift. They didn't fight. They didn't break up their, working relationship or nothing like that. But going back to their hunt for a weed plug, it's just funny because like all these people, the two people that they go to are just fans. They're like, the first guy takes a picture of him and he's trying to, put it on Instagram and stuff. And that obviously doesn't work out. The other wants him to check out his girl, like immediately after he leaves the house, starts texting him. Hey, love your music or whatever. Check out my girl. And she did like a cover of Paperboy's song. It's hilarious to hear like an acoustic version of Paperboy, all about that Paperboy. And then this guy gave his girl Paperboy's number, so he just throws his phone out. Again, I love the ridiculousness of some of these characters and some of the moments that they have because it's hilarious to think Paperboy's just like, you know what, I'm throwing my phone out. Whatever. And just going on forward, doesn't care whatsoever. The last thing that I wanted to note in my little review slash recap slash whatever I'm really doing with this video, Clark County, who was the rapper we were introduced to back at the label at the office, he is now featured on a commercial for Yoo-Hoo. And I think that it is a really brilliant little commercial. Clearly, it's like a product placement within the show. We see it happening on TV. But I like that Atlanta does stuff like that. Instead of just like having, like obvious ad placement. It's like they really put in the work to make sure that it feels like it's supposed to be in the show. Like when they did the BAN episode where they had like the network and all the different commercials. It was brilliant. I think that having Clark rap about Yoo-Hoo and using it like it's an ad lib or something, or it's a sample, like that right there is just genius to me. Overall, I liked Sportin' Waves, the second episode of Atlanta. It was good. I won't say that it's better than Alligator Man. I think if Atlanta is going to beat Alligator Man, they're going to have to really pull out all the stops because that was just a stellar episode. Nonetheless, Atlanta is on a hot streak and I cannot wait to see where they go from here. Please let me get that rift between Paperboy and Earn. Now I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about this episode? What were the highlights for you? Was there anything that really stood out about this episode that you liked? Talk to me in the comment section below. And then like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share the video. Follow me on Twitter at SirMissDomain. And as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching. And until next time, peace.